Welcome to the Rocky Road Podcast, brought to you by Rockbusters, with your host, Dennis Wager. Dennis is a best-selling author and an expert in demolition, rock, and concrete breaking, as well as a professional blaster. He is also president of Rockbusters Incorporated, along with his son, Brian. On the podcast, you'll hear exciting stories of how these challenge types of rock and concrete jobs are done. You learn about the uses of expanding grout and explosive devices. But furthermore, you'll hear about some of the hurdles and struggles entrepreneurs and business owners have had along the way, how they got started, and how they broke through the obstacles and found the path to success. Along with that, some insight for young people and people wanting to get into the industry. So listen in. I hope you enjoy the show. Now, here is Dennis Wager.
Morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome to the show Shelly Lynn Hughes. She is an entrepreneur and the founder of Pursuit 365, which I gratefully have co-authored in. As you know, Shelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dennis. I really appreciate it, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to this conversation we're going to have.
Yeah, me too. It's pretty fun. Our conversations are always fun. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started on this journey.
I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years now, maybe even a little longer. But Pursuit 365 came about just when COVID started, actually. I decided that I needed to put a community together and originally it was women, a community together. And we put a book together of 365 Canadian women. That was the first one that came out. And I wanted to celebrate International Women's Day. I was asked to speak at the United Nations just before COVID started to represent Canadian women entrepreneurs. And because COVID didn't happen, I thought, well, what can I do to celebrate women in Canada and a missed opportunity to go to New York and do that. And that's how it all started. And I went to 365 of my clients and friends and I said, hey, I want to do this book and I want to start this community. And I'm going to, get you to write 365 words of something personal, inspirational to go in the book. But on the other side of it, I'm going to have you interview you for Fresh Magazine online because we couldn't do the hard copy book or magazine anymore. And I'm going to support them in their business and I'm going to support them in their business personal life. And literally 12 weeks later, we had 365 women involved. And that's how it all started.
Wow, that's a pretty big undertaking. How did you come up with the idea of it all?
I looked into my own life and, I was at home with, a 5-year-old at the time and a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old. And there I was, by myself, I was divorced after 23 and a half years of marriage. COVID's here. I was looking into what I needed as a human being, as a mother, as a business person. And I thought, well, likely what I need during this very difficult time of COVID for everybody in the world is likely what other people are needing. And so I thought, well, I need people to come to my website. Well, how am I going to do that if I don't have a hard copy magazine anymore? I also needed to surround myself with wonderful people while I was at home. That's where the community part came into it. And I thought, well, how can I bring together all of these women at the time? Our business has changed, but our community has changed where it's men, women, non-binary. But I thought, how can I do that? Well, if 365 days of the year, I'm lifting someone up, at the same time, I'm lifting my own company up and my own personal life up by being able to interact with someone or people. And so that's how Pursuit 365 came. And, I generally live my life in a way, people are starting their New Year's resolutions right now. I don't really live my life as a New Year's resolution. Beginning of the year, I come up with these goals. Literally 365 days of the year, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what can I do to better other people's lives, but also better my life at the same time? Because I think that we all have an opportunity to help others. And at that same time, we have an opportunity to help ourselves no matter what's going on in our lives.
That's awesome. I really like and resonated with what you said because I look at it similarly. I look at it like what can I do as a service to somebody that I can make money at, but also help them do what they need to do, so it ultimately helps us both.
Yeah, and help them rise, right?
Help them rise, yeah. And that's what we're doing with our
we don't
business
like
too.
to talk
Yeah,
about money,
yeah,
right? We don't like to talk about money, but the reality is you've got a mortgage to pay or a rent to pay, and you have food to put on your table.
yeah.
And if we can help others at the same time, great.
And if we can help others make money, is kind of where I
Exactly.
come from it as well. And a lot of times I think people are shy to talk about that. And not everybody, but a lot of people I see now in this day and age is like, they're a little bit cautious about going into that. But I'm kind of the opposite. I think if I can make money and I can show and help other people how to make money in what I do, it's a win-win, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's where it came in. I thought, well, I'm going to do a book and support women personally. So the 365 of inspirational personal stories were in the hard copy book. And then on the other side of it, if I get them on the website, then that's how their information is going to get out there, and I'm going to interview them. And that is basically how it started, how I can help personal and business.
That's really cool. And as we were talking before, like I'm also in the midst of writing a book too. It's Between a Rock and a Hard Place is the title. It's almost ready to publish now. It'll be out in the next couple of months. Fingers crossed. And
I'm really excited about that. Well, that's the thing with books. You never know.
You never know. It's
5 authors.
Yeah, but it honestly started off with just something that needed to come out. Like I went through kind of a hard time. And I ended up going to the beach, the Crescent Beach, and I'd sit on a log and just write. And it was just more therapeutic at the beginning of it, right? And then after I was like halfway through, I thought, okay, this is making sense. And then near the end of it, it was like, wow, like what I've just written and put out here is really able to help other people.
That's
and
wonderful.
If one person, takes some of the steps that I've went through, and, as, everybody learns in life, the more failures that you have, the more lessons you learn, and the more you can avoid failures and skip to the better roads, right? So
and when you share those failures with others, you share that and you're not embarrassed of them, and you realize it's not even necessarily a failure. It's putting you on the path that you're supposed to be towards success, that you needed to go through that. And so when you're sharing that with others, that helps them as well. And it helps them also accept their failures.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people get stuck there. And I've, gone through lots of failures and learned lots of stuff. And, I can now see it from both sides of the fence. And it's just like the failures don't really mean anything anymore. It's just like, okay, well, I know where I'm going and I know the steps I need to take, and we're just going to do it.
Exactly. It just puts you on that other path.
It does. Yeah.
I love failure. If you're not failing, you're not doing it right.
You're not stepping out of your comfort zone, right? You're not getting out there. But I mean, what you've undertaken is a big deal, and you should be very proud of yourself. I'm proud of you for all you've accomplished, and to take it from that to now having the book in the best-selling ranks is amazing, and also in multiple countries. How many countries is it the bestseller in now?
Well, now not only do we have, so it's selling in, I believe, 7 countries, but we also have members from 6 or 7 countries now. So we've got people from Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Mexico, and I think that's it. So 6 countries we've got members from now. Considering we started off just in Canada and just Canadian women, I think that we've done okay. So we're getting there, and we're doing other books now and changing it up a little bit. And I'm really trying to build kind of let's throw away the borders, right? Let's drop the borders. And like I said, I started the company off as Even Fresh magazine was just for women. Fresh, when I started it, we were Vancouver's only, I saw an opening in the market. We were Vancouver's only women's magazine. And then we grew across Canada to 3,000 spas and salons, a hard copy for, 8-9 years. And then from there, when I started the Pursuit book, the first one, it was only Canadian women. And again, that was to celebrate International Women's Day and I'd be sad about the United Nations opportunity. But then as I moved on in life, going through, like I said, my divorce and being basically a lone parent, I realized that the importance of human beings, and I didn't need to have a business for women. I needed to have a business and a community for human beings, because we're only as strong as the people in our lives. It's not just the women in our lives. So if men are supporting women, non-binary are supporting each other, we all are supporting one another. What a
Yeah, I
better
love that.
we are. And that's how I feel about the world. If I can take away the borders
Yeah.
and we'll all learn something from each other, the world is going to be a better place.
I think so too. And I think even though our industries are totally polar opposite, our paths are the same. You know, like I believe with our industry, my business in particular, the borders really don't matter. Like we work across North America, and now, you know, we are negotiating with a company in Turkey to sell our products in Turkey. And, you know, what we do is rock breaking and concrete demolition. And it's really a challenging, tough environment that we work in. And a lot of people struggle with it. So we deal with, you know, like homeowners that have a rock at their end of the driveway they want to get rid of. So we'll come in and split it, or we'll sell them product and show them how to do it. We also deal with big companies. We deal with government. But it's always revolving around education and how do you show people how to do this work, right? And
I wouldn't even know what to do. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I could call you up, but I wouldn't even know what to do.
Right. So that's where it starts. So we kind of, you know, do a little bit of mentoring, a bit of consulting up front. You know, we usually get some pictures of their project, what they want to do. And then we can show them, here's how you do it. You can buy the product. You can rent the tools from us and do it yourself, or just have us come in and do it for you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. But through that, you know, we get involved with a lot of like smaller contractors that want to get in, you know, expand their business. So I'm able to help mentor them, you know, and a lot of that too is, you know, with young people that want to come into the industry, you know, like, you know, partnering them up with another contractor. So everybody comes ahead together, right? And it's really interesting for me because, you know, I've worked with companies in Scotland and all over the place. And it's always the rock is a little bit different, but it's always the same principles, you know, like we do some jobs where we're taking out rock from the basement of a house. And one job that we did was at the VGH hospital, taking out a big concrete pedestal above the operating room, and they didn't want to shut down the operating room. So we carefully cored holes in the concrete. We poured our expanding grout, and it cracked overnight, and then we just shoveled it up. But they didn't even know we were there.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So it always kind of starts with something like that, right? And we get weird calls, but it's the same kind of path. It's like, how do you involve people and get the word out, right? So your community grows.
Yeah, your community, and that's it, right? Well, even you getting involved with our next phase, which we'll talk about that later, but the power of humanity in business and the power of humanity, and that's our awards, and the power of humanity in youth. Like you're involved with your community, you know, you're getting out there. You're not just trying to make the sale. You're involved with your community, and that's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one contractor in Idaho that I've worked with them for, I don't know, 2-3 years now. But he's a chiropractor, and he didn't really like that field anymore. He wanted to become a blaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like, you know, you get a call, you start talking and explaining, you know, the product, how it works and this and that. And you know, you think of a chiropractor as a pretty, you know, sought after profession, right? But he just thought, you know, I don't really like the liability and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I just would rather blow things up. So.
Who wouldn't, right? But I think with being not just like, I've heard of a lot of people that are, say, in, you know, like desk jobs. They wish that they learned more of the trades like that.
In the field,
like
yeah.
Because they're just so bored sitting behind a desk doing the numbers or doing. I've heard that many times that they wish they learned all these other trades.
Yeah. I think I have the best because I can, you know, I have the flexibility to do what I want. But, you know, I actually enjoy my time in the office, but I also enjoy my time in the field. And the time in the field is where you really learn, right? You get your hands dirty, you figure out, you know, how to make things work. Yeah.
You get to do both.
You get to do both, yeah.
That's wonderful.
I don't believe I could do well without that. You know, it's really that kind of stuff that I think brings us above the crowd.
Absolutely. No, that's great. I think what you do is pretty fascinating because I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, just call me. I'll tell you where.
Yeah, one day. Well, let me come see a blast one day. Let's do this.
Sure, yeah, we'll do that. We should
I
plan
love
that.
it.
Yeah, we should plan that.
It's like going
Um,
into a house. I remember someone was demolishing a house like years ago, and they're like, "Come help us hit the walls."
yeah,
Heck yeah, I'm in,
it's fun,
banging
right?
everything down. So fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, it
But I'm
is.
also that girl that also loved to go on well, back in the days, it was three-wheelers, right? Because I had horses and
Yeah, yeah,
we had three-wheelers. Now they're four-wheelers, but
yeah. I remember the three wheelers. I remember flipping the one over too. It wasn't fun when it's upside down.
no, but so much fun through the snow and the dirt and everything. Like the
Yeah,
dirt was so fun. We'd come out all messy.
muddy. Yeah, yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
it was the best.
Yeah,
Dirt everywhere. So I can see why blasting just to watch that go would be a ton of
yeah.
fun.
Because there's definitely like the planning, the setting it all up. Loading the explosives into the holes, and then connecting it, and you know that when you press the button, it's going to happen. And
Love it.
yeah, there's something to that thrill that I've done. I've actually done some pretty big shots. I did one in the Seymour River after they had the rock slide there that plugged up the river, and we blasted out most of the rocks so we would open it up again. And one rock near the end was huge. It was about the size of a 3-story house, and it was sitting on another little rock. Well, what's actually the size of a basement. That was its nickname, was the basement rock. But the whole rock was so big, but it was sitting kind of precariously, so I had to blast it in one shot. So we just loaded it with a ton of explosives. And being in the middle of the river, you got, hiking trails all around you. You got to keep the public safe, out of the area and all that stuff. But you really take a second thought before you press the button, because like we spent the whole day with 6 guys loading the rock with the explosives. So to even just take an extra minute and kind of pause before you press the button, because I don't know, you might not know, but when you're blasting, you have a blasting machine and you got 2 buttons. One is you press the button on the left and it arms it. So you got to let it wait for 30 seconds, and a red light comes on, and then the red light turns to green. And when it goes green, you can press the fire button and then it blows up.
Have you ever had one of those moments when it happens where you're just like, oh, wait, that was the wrong time?
Yeah.
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 I can imagine.
Yeah, that's honestly why. So we're legally bound to give a 2-minute warning. So that's 2 minutes for everybody to clear the area. You give your warning signals, etc. But I kind of personally put in this extra minute just for a sit and pause and think about it for a second, because once you press the button, you can't unpress it, right? It's like you can't unsay something that you say.
Yeah, because there's like all the safety side of it. Yeah, I can see that how you would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness, I shouldn't have done that yet.
Yeah, and you can't undo it. So it's better off to just...
in a relationship, you say something you can't take back.
Can't take that back. Exactly. You can apologize all you want, but...
it's still out there.
They may or may not forgive you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what else is coming up for you? What are your big dreams and goals?
Well, we've got our first book was all women, which was, it was wonderful. Second book was men, women, non-binary. You were in that one. Third, and then this next one is, and they were all personal stories, right? Mostly anyways. There's some business stories that added the personal component to it. And then our third book, which actually was, a lady named Kelly who wrote a book, and it's 365 Days of Compassion. So that one just came out, and it's in, Indigo Books, and we did a kind of a partnership, published that with her. So under our brand. And then the fourth book is the one that you're in again, which is 365 entrepreneurs from around the world sharing 365 words of business advice. Super excited about that. We've got people like Jimmy Pattison in it, who's a Canadian billionaire entrepreneur, amazing guy. He's in his 90s. We have Brian Jessel in it, local, car dealer guy that's quite well known here in Canada. We've also got people in the United States in there. Brian Cuban is in there. So yeah, we've got some pretty incredible entrepreneurs from around the world. We've got about, I think, 25 people from Australia, entrepreneurs from Australia. So that is that book. And then from there, we've got our awards that are only in the United States. So it's called the Power of Humanity in Business Awards. So it's done, right now our book is done by, you're part of our community, you're allowed to go in it. So there's a fee for the year. But then this book, you cannot buy a spot, it's not pay to play. You either have to nominate yourself or nominate someone else. And we've got judges that are choosing 6 businesses / company per state for the awards. And then there's the People's Choice Award. So whoever gets the most votes per state, and that's going to make 350 people for the book. And then the other 15 is done separately. So that is our awards. That's one of the things that they win. And then the next one after that is our Power of Humanity in Youth. And it's free for the youth to send in their stories. And we want to hear about what youth are doing to make a difference, whether it's in their home, their community, their country, the earth, and third world countries. And it's not just about finances, or it's not just about money. It's what youth are doing to make a difference. Now, we want to hear about entrepreneurial youth that are, say, taking 6% of what they're making and sending it to, a local charity or a village, in another country.
Okay.
But we also want to hear about, the youth that are, or the children that are in their own homes. They might go to their neighbor's house and do their lawn just to help them out, to be kind. So we want to share their stories. We hear a lot of negativity of youth.
Yeah.
You hear it on the news all the time. We don't really celebrate enough, and we do not, I feel that we do not give enough credit to what youth are doing to make a difference.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That one there, we're bringing on sponsors for that, which you're one of our sponsors, so that in the end, I really want to give the youth that wins. So each is going to get a spot regardless, whether it's a short story or a long story.
Yeah.
And then we're hoping to give $10,000 to the youth to help them that wins, whether it's their secondary education or maybe it's to help them grow their business. And then we want to give $10,000 to the charity of the choice that they're working with, or them to help us pick a charity to give that $10,000 to. So that is our youth book. And then we're picking up chapters right now. We're looking at doing an India book still. We've got a few people interested in doing that. And then an Australian book and a UK book.
Nice. How do you connect with all of these people? Like, how do you find, hey, I'm just going to go talk to Jimmy Pattison like one day? Or how does that work?
Well, years ago, my company, one of my other companies interviewed him for another magazine. And I had his assistant's connection. And
okay.
And really what it boils down to, Dennis, is I was a mentor for a woman many years ago. Actually, I was pregnant. So we're talking nine years ago. I was a mentor for the Forum for Women Entrepreneurs. And it was a girl who wanted to start, I believe she has her own podcast right now. And she wanted to start her own magazine. So I mentored her, for, 16 weeks or something. And she said something to me, and it's called, the power of the ask. And she always wanted to write this article on the power of the ask. And it always stuck with me. If we don't ask for what we want or need, we're never going to get there. So I do not hesitate to ask for what I need or what I want. The person is allowed to say no to me. That's their right. But I happily will try to connect with people. We have Brian Scudamore from What 800 Got Junk in this book.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And yeah, he wrote an amazing piece. And it was just literally me sending him an email, him getting back to me, sending in his stuff. Actually, I didn't even know he sent in his article until later.
Okay.
I wasn't even, someone, Jennifer on my team was like, oh my gosh, Brian sent in his stuff and his photos. He just approved his piece. So it's the power of the ask. And I just figure I have just as enough right to ask, and they have just as much right to say no to me. And
I feel the same too.
They say no.
Yeah, that's the whole key right there, is just not be attached to a no, right?
Yeah, people can say no to me. I get lots of no's.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. It means that you're asking, right? Yeah. That's what's funny too. It's kind of like, I always look at it like, say you throw a party and you're having in your mind like, oh, I'm not going to invite so and so because they're never going to come to my party. But if they find out, they might be, offended that you didn't invite them. And
it's like, what's the harm in even, like, if they're going to say no, it still makes them feel good. And they might be saying no for, I've got a really good friend of mine. She has high anxiety and she has a lot of, stress in her life. And she has a very hard time being in a room with people.
Yeah.
And she says to me, what, Shelly, it's not that I don't want to go. I just mentally can't go. But I appreciate being thought of and asked. And even all our friends know she's never going to go. but she appreciates the fact that we thought of her and be like, you know what, maybe this one time
she'll come. Yeah. I mean, it's always nice to be invited, right? And then just like you said, you can always come or not come. It's up to them, right?
And that's for business as well. It's nice, I love it when people reach out to me because for business. And some of, I look through my life as many years as being an entrepreneur, there's been a lot of invitations that I've been invited to as far as, where I exchange of money. And especially in my early years, I couldn't afford it. I would have loved to get involved with something, but it just wasn't in my budget to do it. Yeah. And so now I flat out say to people, that's just not in my budget. Yeah. But back in the day, you don't want to admit, I just
can't afford it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be something as small as that. It could be someone wasn't getting back to me for a really long time on a situation. Well, her mother was passing away. Yeah. We don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So as long as someone's not an out and out, rude person, I don't take it as a negative. I just take it as it's not for them right now. Yeah. It may be something in the future. Jennifer's a great example with Jennifer Derringer that works with us. Yeah. I asked her to come do sales for me about 10 years ago. And she said, no, it's not my thing. As soon as she heard about Pursuit 365, 10 years later, she said, not only do I love the project, Shelly, I want to be a part of it and I want to come do sales for you. And that was just because I didn't take it personally as she just didn't want to do that with me. And she's like my right-hand person now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I have the same philosophies exactly. And it's just, through my life, I've had lots of ups and downs, and it's really, everybody's, always on board when you're on your upswing, but it's in the downs that certain people just pop out of the woodwork to help you. And those are the people that you respect for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Well, even my good friend, Dr. Ann Kaplan-Mullen, she wrote the foreword in the first book. She was the CEO and president of iFinance Canada, has done over $2 billion in lending. She's now left that company and has got something else going on. But she is the first person to, like when she speaks for me, which she's speaking at my March 2nd event, she's my keynote. Her life is wonderful, but she is the first person to say, you know what, Shelly, what do you need? Like, are you okay? Yeah. Are things good? Really, it doesn't matter to her. Really,
that's awesome, right? I mean, those are the people that for me, I admire, and I'm sure you do too. But those are the first people that come to mind whenever, New Year's comes around. Like, hey, I just want to acknowledge that person because they were there for me, last year or whatever many years ago. But they really show up and stand out for years to come, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And we're so blessed and I'm so thankful, and I know you are as well. And that's why we are happy people, because we are so grateful.
Yeah, and then you can give back and do the same for others, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one last question is, what advice do you have for young people wanting to get into your industry?
So I say my industry. I mean, I say I've got a community, okay, and I wouldn't. Someone said, "Well, you're a publisher." I'm like, "Well, I'm a publisher, but I'm also many other things on top of it." That's just one of the tiers. We call ourselves a multimedia platform to support people in their business lives and in their personal lives, whatever they need at the moment. I don't know. I think for me, it's just find who you want to support, reach out to them, be honest, be kind, and really, just be there for them and find ways to uplift their lives, both in their business life and their personal life. That's the best thing I can come up with.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to be here with us today. I really appreciate it. It was great seeing you, and we'll talk soon.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Great, Shelly. Have a nice day then.
You as well, Dennis.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to be a guest on a future episode and tell us your story, visit our website at www.rockbusters.com. If you have a project and would like to learn more about our products, or if you're interested in partnering with us and becoming a distributor, give us a call. Thanks again. We appreciate your support.